So it is welcome. It is the Frank the Unicorn radio program. And Frank the Unicorn with me is lovely Audrey. So we have a lot to get caught up on. We had a good show last week. We did some haiku last week, but we talked about Back to the Future. We talked about the movie Crime Wave. We kind of went a little off the rails. We're probably going to do exactly the same thing again today. And there's a few things I want to touch on and get to. Right. First things first. So just to kind of let everyone know up front what we're going to talk about. So we're going to do some Haiku Pop for The Simpsons. We're going to talk about the current season of The Simpsons because it's something that's very worth discussing.
Do people even watch The Simpsons anymore?
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Really?
I've watched every season of The Simpsons. I've watched all 33 seasons as they were broadcast. I've not.
I mean,
missed.
that is impressive.
I mean,
impressive that you still watch it.
I do. I admit now that I can stream them the next day. I've been doing that for the last number of years, right?
But
I still awesome. Every Monday now instead of Sunday night, I would just watch The Simpsons. Yes.
Very cool. Wait, is it still on Sunday night?
It is still on Sunday nights, 8:00.
Wow.
And yes. And we're going to get to that. But we'll talk more about The Simpsons. But we'll talk about the slap. We'll get briefly into
slap heard around the world.
Chris Rock,
Whoops.
Will Smith kerfuffle.
Kerfuffle.
I like saying kerfuffle.
All right. That.
And then I also wanted to take a minute, a little more than a minute maybe, right?
How many minutes?
Just, I don't know, however many minutes.
Okay.
We're not doing the van song. So I
Here
do.
In my van.
Yeah, no. So that's the last thing we need. So I do want to take a minute and say thank you to the people who are listening to the show, right? Because we've been getting a lot of people listening to the show now.
Internationally.
It's growing. It's becoming pretty popular. And yeah, more than 20% of our audience is international, is overseas. We're obviously in the U.S., right? But they're, Canada, France, Spain, London, they're listening to the show. That's amazing. And
Russia.
Well, not amazing. India,
yes,
which is
it
cool.
Is amazing.
Utah, Iowa, obviously these are states, but we're getting a lot of listens in Iowa and Utah and Ohio.
We like Russians, just not Russian war.
So I just want to thank. Yes, of course, we don't like any war. No war. No war. We love people. We hate war, but we appreciate all the people listening to the show all over the place.
Yes.
Both at home and abroad.
Yes.
So thank you for that. All right. You watched Fargo yet?
No.
No, of course not.
I knew that.
I knew you didn't watch
So what
Fargo.
had happened was...
here we go.
I got
Get out the bread, because here comes the bologna.
I got on Hulu. I did not see it, even though you say it's there. And then I got on Netflix, and it was not there. Then I got on Amazon Prime, and I was like, should I buy it? And then I sat there, and I was like, do I really want to watch a Cohen Brothers movie? And I was like, nah. And so I did not order it. And then I went back to Hulu, and I watched My 600-Pound Life.
Oh.
I feel bad for these people, but it is like really, really interesting. But anyways, I will watch Fargo this weekend. I promise. I will find it. Now I see it says Fargo is on Netflix. Maybe subconsciously I didn't want to watch it.
It's also on Prime, and it's included with Prime.
Okay.
So you have multiple ways to watch
So really, because I have Prime and Netflix and Hulu, and I didn't find it on any of them.
I think it's just pretty obvious that you just didn't want to watch. So
But the thing is, I actually sat down and I was going to watch it, and then I just didn't.
Sure you were. Okay. I believe you.
Okay.
My favorite part was when he gave me the money.
Is this a Fargo joke?
Nope, I just wanted to confuse you. All right, so have not watched Fargo. What a shock. What a shock.
We can discuss Fargo next week.
All right, we'll talk about Fargo next week.
Okay.
You know what we're going to discuss next week?
My disdain for the Coen brothers?
How you did not watch Fargo again. Because you either started some new other activity or decided to watch some other new show. Like My Strange Addiction.
Oh,
that
God. Is actually an interesting show.
Oh, God, no.
So there was this one episode.
What have I done?
There was this one episode where this girl would eat glue.
I should have known better.
Or paper.
I should have known
better.
Or
like, not dust, but it was like
wood better.
Dust.
Uh-huh.
What's it called? Anyways.
I have no idea. I don't know. I don't. Wood dust? What is wood dust called? It's called wood dust.
Anyways, yeah.
Wow. Okay. That was dangerous. I almost got you started on one. All right. So let's, what would happen if you would have slapped my face? And so I'm just going to hand it off to you. Let you talk about the slap.
Okay. So if nobody knows, did anybody here watch the Oscars? Nobody watches the Oscars anymore.
Honestly, I feel like nobody watched the Oscars and except for like the YouTube clip of this one thing that happened.
Exactly. And so it's interesting because
of course we mean the slap between Will Smith and
Chris Rock. Yeah. So I almost watched it. I was sitting there and I was like, should I watch this? And I was like, nah. But I don't know. Like, so what is your take on it? I guess initially when I watched it, I thought this is a publicity stunt. And then I thought, nah, there's no way. I thought, well, maybe the Academy next year, more people will tune in. Chris Rock is on tour. I thought, well, maybe he'll get more people going to his tours now. But it doesn't make any sense. He never should have made the alopecia joke. It was untasteful, but ultimately he's a comedian. Sometimes you cross the line and you don't necessarily mean to. Whether you do or you don't, it's a joke. It was a bad joke. It was a tasteless joke. It was wrong. But violence is never the answer. Will Smith made a fool out of himself. And what is absolutely worse is that then all those stupid freaking actors stood up and gave him a standing ovation. Because if he went up there and he slapped a woman, he would have gotten arrested.
I don't know.
Violence is never the answer.
No, I agree with that.
And I'm one. I've always said my entire life, sometimes you just need to slap someone in the freaking face or punch them. In my case,
I know you close your fist, but I know, but
and that's a story for another time.
Yeah, and again, I'm sorry.
So it was not to you. It was not to you.
Yeah, well,
this was in my past.
So yeah, this was a long time ago.
Again,
like last week.
Uncalled for. But I don't know what's going on in Will Smith's mind.
Well, I mean,
it's
look,
like people go through things every day,
okay.
But and then he stood there and like he gave it his stupid acceptance speech while he's crying. He sounded like it's just nothing but a stupid narcissist, like narcissistic behavior.
I mean, he is a Hollywood actor, so yes.
It was like all about
I mean, look,
him. Anyways, your turn.
Yeah, so first and foremost, okay, people defending Chris Rock, stop defending Chris Rock. You don't go up and in that situation, in any situation, you don't make fun of someone's private medical condition. You don't, and actually it's a public medical condition for her, but you don't make fun of, I should say, because she came out and said, I have this disease and this is what's happening and this is why I'm shaving my head and, which was a really courageous, brave thing to do. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a big difference being a bald woman and being a bald man.
But the thing about it is she's still a beautiful woman.
Well, of course she is. Absolutely. She's gorgeous. One way or the other, right? Doesn't matter. But it's still very courageous for her to come out and say that because look, she is an actress known for being a beautiful actress.
But she's still a beautiful actress.
Of course she is. But understand the point I'm making is I think for her that was a really courageous thing to do because while, yes, you and I would agree, she's beautiful, bald, with hair, whatever, doesn't matter. A lot of people, a lot of men, most of society, in fact, would look at a bald woman.
I don't think anybody thinks that about Jada Pinkett Smith.
Okay.
She's beautiful.
I disagree with you. I think that there is a pretty huge segment of the population, most of society, do not find bald women beautiful.
Women, correct. Okay? Correct. I would agree with that.
So I think it's very courageous, especially for a Hollywood actress who is known for being beautiful, to come out and say, hey, this is something that's happening to me. And she's, I just give her a lot of credit for that. I think that's a courageous thing that she did. I think then to make a joke about that is a really shitty thing to do.
It is, but
it's just I don't care if you're a comedian or not. That doesn't give you the right to be a fucking prick.
Agreed.
Okay?
Agreed.
And here's the other thing. You have the right to be a fucking prick. Everybody has the right to be a fucking prick. Doesn't mean you should be.
Agreed.
Right?
Agreed.
Okay? And also, joke wasn't funny. It was a shit joke.
So was he reading off a prompt?
I cannot imagine. I cannot imagine that was a pre-written joke. Because if it was, I have to believe that somebody would have the goddamn common sense to say, no. What are you, crazy? You think a producer is going to let that go? No, that had to be off the cuff. And again, that's why it's like 3 times as stupid, because Chris Rock, you're one of the greatest stand-up comics of all time, dude. You're so much better than that joke. That joke's not worthy of you. Now it's the joke that everyone's gonna fucking remember that you told.
But it wasn't even funny. Like that's
my whole point.
It wasn't funny.
This is awful for both these guys. Both of these guys are wrong, and both of them are going to lose out, because again, Chris Rock is now going to be remembered for that shit joke, which is nowhere. It's horrible. It's not worthy of him in any way. It's not worthy of anyone. Should never even been said. It was a terrible joke.
And so Will Smith.
But Will Smith is now going to be remembered
as a guy
guy who got up and smacked Chris Rock.
Control yourself.
But here's the other
yourself, dude.
Here's the other thing. Part of it too isn't part of the backlash that's going to hit Will Smith on this. Honestly, is a little bit on everybody else, because exactly what you said. People are going to look at him now, and not only are they going to remember that, oh, this is the guy that went and, hit this guy, but they're going to be like, and look how the rest of everybody else reacted to this, where they cheered this on. And then they gave him an award, and they kissed his ass and all this.
That's what makes me so mad, because it's like, if you have money and you're a celebrity, it's like they didn't even care. Like, people wonder how Harvey Weinstein or whoever got away with whatever for so long.
Well, here you go. It's wealth privilege is what it is.
I looked at all these
there's a lot of privilege that comes with wealth and fame. I mean, this is part of it.
I was just as upset with everybody sitting in that room standing and clapping for him as I was when Will Smith slapped Chris Rock.
Well, and again, and people
that to me is almost worse than the slap.
Well, yeah,
it's not giving a fuck about it.
Well, exactly. I mean, it's worth. I can't put I'm not going to put a moral judgment on it, other than to say that they're shitty people. I mean, obviously they revealed that. Okay, they all revealed that they're just garbage people to stand up and cheer for that guy after he pulls some shit like that. Yeah. And this crap that the Academy's like, well, we asked him to leave, but he said he refused. Get the fuck out of my face with that. You didn't ask him to fucking leave. You gave him the award anyway, and then if you had really wanted him to go, you would have said, you know what? Don't read him as a nominee, okay? Or if he's the winner, pick the next guy on the list, because we're not giving him the fucking award. Not after that shit.
I mean, they could have just escorted him out.
Okay, exactly. You don't have...
regardless of
who runs the show.
Yeah.
Right? Obviously, not the people who are in charge of the show. It's the celebrities in front of the camera.
Who has money and privilege.
Right.
It's the guy with the wealth.
Well, that's it. It's
doing whatever he wants.
It's typical stupid-ass Hollywood doing stupid-ass Hollywood things. And just living in a completely different reality than everybody else, and not even being aware of it. Okay? Agreed. Because again, if we're... let's say, I don't know, we're at a PTA meeting or something, and they're giving out awards, and someone comes up and slaps someone at a PTA meeting. You're going to jail. You're going to jail. You're getting arrested. That's assault. You're going to jail. And all this about, well, if someone doesn't press charges, it doesn't matter. It's a witnessed crime. You don't need someone to press charges. You committed the crime. There's a multitude of witnesses and evidence. That's arrestable. You should be arrested. Will Smith should be arrested for assaulting Chris Rock. That's what should happen. It should have happened that night. But the fact that it still hasn't happened, give me a fucking break. Right?
Yeah.
But again, they're both assholes. They're both assholes. And the person that I feel worse for in the whole situation is Jada.
I don't feel bad for her at all.
I feel bad only because she did nothing. She literally was just sitting there minding her own business. This guy says some stupid shit about her. Then her husband goes off and acts crazy. And then you know what I mean? I mean, she's just put in the worst possible situation. This poor woman. Not poor, I just think it's a bad I feel, again, for anyone that's involved in it, I feel the worst for her, because she's getting the worst end of it. Really, she's in the worst spot with all this. So I feel, I say for her, man, it sucks that, she's got to go deal with all this crap that's spinning around her, because she did not invite or participate in any of this shit. I'm giving her a pass, dude. I feel bad for her, man. Come on. Please.
I don't know if I feel bad for her, but...
In this situation, yeah, I do. I mean, come on.
I mean, yeah. I mean...
Just because you're rich and successful...
Her husband,
just because you're rich and successful doesn't mean people around you can't do some really dumb shit that's really going to hurt you or mess you up. And that's what happened to her. So I feel bad for her. All right, so there's our take on the slap.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Okay. And what's going to happen? Nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing. Not a goddamn thing. Right? We agree on that. All right. Oh my God, do we agree on something?
We do.
Holy shit, we agreed on like 2 things. It's amazing.
I know.
All right. All right. So now we're going to talk about Simpsons. We're going to do some Simpsons Haiku.
Haiku.
Okay? So Haiku Pop. This is going to be Haiku Pop Simpsons edition. For those of you who don't know, Haiku Pop is a modern take on using haiku to explore both American popular culture, which is just another name for the consumer culture in which we live in the States, and we have managed to export globally, and the changing environment in which we currently also live, and this transition from an analog to digital world. So let's get started with Haiku Pop, The Simpsons.
Yeah.
All right. We all know Homer is secretly our own dad. That's why we love him. Because Homer is sort of the classic representation of a stereotypical...
I never thought he was a great representation of a dad.
Oh, I do.
I
because he's not a great dad. He's like this standard average American. He's fat, he's selfish, he's lazy, he's not very smart, and he doesn't really pay too much attention to his kids. He is the classic American father.
See, that's so sad.
Yes, it is, but it's so true. True. Okay. Inept Sideshow Bob. Farewell, elaborate schemes. Hello, Mr. Firearm. Like, really, if anyone in the Simpsons canon can be accused of falling into stupid tropes, it would have to be Sideshow Bob, and the fact that he's been trying to kill Bart for all of these years. And never once has he just thought, I could just shoot this kid in the face.
True.
I mean, he's gone through some serious... he's had some major plans and done some insane things, but never once just decided to go and, get a firearm and walk up to Bart and let him have it. All right.
Yep.
Not that I'm advocating for that. I'm not. Okay. Lisa plays the sax, which is a weird instrument for a little girl. It is. It's a weird instrument for a little girl to play saxophone.
I always thought it was so cool that she liked jazz.
Oh, I love that she loves jazz and plays the sax, and the saxophone's as big as she is. I think it's amazing, but it's unusual. That's part of what makes it great.
That's why I like her so much.
Well, yeah, that's part of what makes it great.
She was always my favorite character.
Yeah. Well, she's the conscience of the show. She's always been the conscience of the show.
She was great.
The balanced conscience, right? Because really Flanders is the conscience of the show, but he's so over the top and preachy that he's not.
It's Lisa.
So it's Lisa. All right. Tried an Apu one, but his last name is too long, even for line 2. Do you know Apu's last name?
What?
No, I'm asking. Do you know it?
No.
Well, clearly no. Nahasa Pima Petalon.
Really? How do you know that?
How do I know the name of a character on The Simpsons? Really?
Yeah, I guess.
We just talked about how I watched every season
for 33 years.
For 33 years straight. I've watched it when it was broadcast, although again, I watch it I've been watching the next day on streaming, but I watch new episodes every season. I've watched every season of The Simpsons as it occurs from season 1 all the way now through season 33. And we're going to talk more about season 33 when we're done with these haiku. Okay. Oh, speaking of Seymour, let us not forget steamed hams. Nay, impossible. One of the all-time great Simpsons moments. Please tell me you remember steamed hams. 22 short episodes, 22 short films about Springfield when Gary Chalmers, the superintendent Chalmers, comes over.
I only watched Simpsons for like 2
he's gonna
or 3
have
years.
He's gonna have lunch with Skinner, and Skinner is burning the roast, so he makes up a lie that he runs across a Krusty Burger across the street, brings back hamburgers, tells Chalmers it's steamed hams. No. He finds a fire and Chalmers sees the whole kitchen's on fire, and Seymour tells him it's the Aurora Borealis localized in his kitchen. No? Okay. No. It's a great one. It's a great segment. It's like the most classic segment.
I watched The Simpsons from maybe 5th grade to 8th grade, and that was it. God.
You missed out. I mean, you missed out on a lot of great stuff. Okay, last one. Springfield is the place. Wiggum would never catch you. Rip the mattress tag. So you commit crimes in Springfield, and Chief Clancy Wiggum is never going to catch you. So, but all right. So it's interesting because you say, okay, you only watch The Simpsons for a brief amount of time. right? So for like 3 seasons, I guess, basically is it.
3 or 4 seasons, yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. And what years around?
I want to say maybe like 1991 to 94, 1990 to 94. I feel like that was actually the best time, though.
That actually was probably the best stretch of The Simpsons, where the Simpsons produced in that time frame is considered some of the best television ever made.
I feel like because I didn't see, I was young in the beginning, but I remember watching like those first episodes just because they would do reruns and things like that. But I didn't watch it in the 80s, really. I watched it in the beginning of the 90s.
Well, the show only came on in December of 1989, so...
But
the first Simpsons episode was broadcast December 17th, 1989, so you didn't have much chance to watch it in the 80s.
I feel like it was 1991 and 94, because I don't think I watched the first season, but I remember when I was in 5th grade, I drew a picture of Bart saying, "Eat my shorts."
Nice.
And then...
You got in trouble?
At first I got in trouble, but then...
punched someone in the face?
No, that was 5th grade.
Ah!
No, but then they realized it was really good, and then they put it up in the art show.
Oh my God. Okay. It's hilarious. It's funny to me now. It's funny to look back now and see and remember, because
that was 30 years ago.
Yeah, I was 14 when The Simpsons came on, and I was a freshman in high school, and I remember
I was still in elementary school.
That's great. I remember. Good for you. Good for you. But I remember there was a lot of controversy, and it's weird because initially when the show came on, Bart was really the main focus of the show for the first season or two, and there was a lot of backlash. It's really funny now because there was all this backlash about how this animated kid is this bad influence and blah blah blah, and it's funny to see how parents overreact all the time. It's just whatever whatever generation of parents is going to overreact to whatever that thing is. And Bart happened to be the thing that these parents were overreacting to. So it's just odd. But here's the thing: the modern season of The Simpsons. Okay, this is season 33, and I'm shocked. I gotta say it, man. I am absolutely floored by how good the show is this year. In fact, I would say collectively, the episodes in season 33 up to this point that I've seen them all. Okay, but collectively as a group, this is the best season of The Simpsons that I have seen at least since probably maybe season 8. I mean, really, it's that good. And I think season 9, 10, 11, 12 are good. I think 13 and 14 are okay. But this is a great season, and it's the whole tone of the show is changed. I mean, it is not. It's really something different. And really what they've done is they've gone back to the most classic formula, right? So for a while, initially in the show, Homer was bumbling. He was stupid. He was fat. He was lazy. He was all those things. But he was always, and this is the thing that always makes Homer Homer, he's always loves his family more than anything else.
I always like the name Homer also.
Okay.
Homer's actually one of my favorite names.
Okay. But this was really evident in the first few seasons. And then at some point when they started getting more outrageous with the plots, probably around season 10 or 11, you got jerk-ass Homer. Who,
maybe that's why I didn't want to watch it.
Yeah, he got real selfish and he was not this. Basically, The Simpsons, I want to say they traded their heart for more slapstick. Okay. And that's fine. It just was a different type of show, and it changed, and the show was different. This season, they had the heart back in the show.
Oh, good.
And what I mean by that is when you watch these shows, these episodes, and they've done a brilliant job, not only of reintroducing this sort of heart to the show, but they now have the show to where it is up to date from a cultural standpoint, okay? In other words, the plots of the shows that are occurring now are relevant to the technology and the sort of culture and society that we're in now. So they're okay, those elements are now mixing in. So they're able to mix in how the Simpsons are now existing in this sort of new reality that we live in, which it's a very different world from when they premiered in 1989. It's a very different world. But now they're updating and they're telling stories of essentially how they're living with or how they're dealing with this, this sort of change. In addition to some other, and they're doing that. That's sort of the backdrop against the rest of what they're telling with these different stories, doing with these different episodes. But as an example, but again, they're doing this and they've managed to recapture the heart of the show. So as an example, one of the more recent ones is where Bart makes friends with like an influencer and is going to get like his own.
Interesting.
Is going to get his own shoe. They're going to make Bart's own. Bart designs his own shoe, and they're going to make like the Bartman shoe or whatever. And unfortunately for Bart, what happens is his friend who's the influencer drops off a bunch of swag, and then Homer starts wearing it. And so all the divorced, all the dads, the divorced dads, the fat dads, all the dads, all the old guys start wearing this kid's influencer clothes. Mm-hmm. And it starts messing with his brand. Okay, so the kid's now terrified that his clothes are not going to be cool anymore and he's not going to sell anymore of them because the dad, because Homer and the dads are now just going to ruin the whole thing because they're so uncool. Mm-hmm. And of course, Homer naturally there have been many episodes where Homer's concerned about his level of coolness and how cool he is, mm-hmm. right? And so
wait, what was that episode where he was like he liked the country singer?
Okay, yeah, that was with Lurleen. But
Lurleen! Yeah. All right, was that 25 years ago?
Yeah, it was a long time ago, yeah.
How do you remember that?
That was like season 6, maybe, I think.
I remember 7. That. I remember watching that.
Okay, but so what happens in this episode is, so they're addressing the relevance of the influencer culture, branding, all that kind of thing, and they're really riffing on that. I mean, they're really poking holes at it. I mean, it's funny. It's legit funny stuff. But at the same time, they're also addressing, the part of it that I can relate to, which is as being an older guy or being a guy that's getting old, and you're like, wow, this shit's all trendy, and I'm not into it, but there it is, and mm-hmm. kind of thing. Yeah. And this is these guys all diving into it and what happens to them and all that. And in an earlier season, they would come to a head, okay? Because in this case, again, they had introduced Bart's shoe, and Bart was terrified that because all the dads were coming down to buy it, okay? And he was scared, it's going to ruin the brand, it's going to ruin my shoe, it's going to mess everything up, blah, 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 okay?
Yeah.
So what happens, instead of invading this party or doing this thing or whatever, at the last minute, Homer realizes how harmful it would be to Bart personally if he goes through with this, and if he allows this to happen, and so he actively stops this, and the confrontation's avoided, and it's done that way because Homer is concerned about the well-being and feelings of his son, which is how a father would act, and instead of having jerk-ass Homer that we had in season 13, 14, 20, 22, whatever, we've got classic, early, 3rd season, 4th season Homer with the giant heart, and it's totally lovable now and totally okay for him to be that stupid because that heart is so big, and look, he's always going to come through and do the right thing for his family, so we're going to watch him, we're going to tune in, we're going to cheer for him. And it's consistent through the whole season. This is just one recent episode, but there was an episode where basically he and Marge, which is really a brilliant episode. It's a parody of like Naked and Afraid, okay? Mm-hmm. Where Lisa sees Homer and Marge on the couch wrapped up in all the blankets, like just totally in sync, and she doesn't understand that that's what happens when you're in a relationship with someone for 10 years and that's just how it goes.
Or 33 years.
Or well, in this case, 10 years, because remember, they're on the show. It's still, But you know what I'm saying? Long-term relationship, that's what happens. You end up in the pajamas on the couch. That's what you look forward to. You have the level of comfort and, all that. And she misunderstands that, thinks they have a lack of passion. They don't care about each other. Their marriage is falling apart. So she insists they go to this couples retreat, and of course there's an accident on the way and they end up in the woods and they're naked and afraid, and but then they work together and they get shelter and they kind of do all the things on the show, and then there's an actual threat because there's a Wolverine that's going to try to attack Marge, and then Homer has to defend Marge and save her, and but it's really well told because it's great it works as a parody of Naked and Afraid.
Yeah.
It works as a great Homer and Marge relationship episode. It works as a great Lisa learns a lesson type episode. But again, it shows the heart of the show. It just, there's a heart to it. It's not slapsticky and goofy. It's more about the relationships, and it's really about, in that episode, it's really about the relationship that Homer and Marge have and how deep their connection is. That it's so deep that even their own kids don't really get just how in love they are.
Aww,
and
that's nice.
And when you see what they go through in this experience where they're out in the woods and they kind of have all these things going on, and then what happens at the end of that when they basically find their way out, and just how the episode plays out, that's when that all hits home. And that is it's a level of quality on the show that has not been seen, again, in over 20 years. Mm-hmm. So I would just encourage everyone, please make sure you are checking out this season of The Simpsons. It is back. It is great.
Yay.
And at least up to the episodes that have broadcast as of when we're originally putting the show, which, by the way, is going to be on April Fool's Day. Is going to be published because Friday, tomorrow is April Fool's Day. We're recording this on the 31st, and this is not an April Fool's joke. I'm legitimately telling you, watch season 33 of The Simpsons. It's fantastic. I'm also going to ask you to please make sure you check out our other show, which is the Not Another Real Estate podcast at notanotherrealestatepodcast.com.
Yay.
And if you would, please check the links below in the description, and subscribe to the YouTube channel for the archives and clips. And check out the other websites and all the merchandise. And oh, by the way, I have an art show on Thursday.
Yes.
It's Pancakes and Booze at Hook Hall in DC. I have to get on that too. So thank you all for tuning in, and I will talk with you, or we will talk with you
next week.
Next week.